is Tuesday, 12 November 2013, in Phoenixville, Pennsylvania. Inside a Wells Fargo branch, the morning is ordinary. Customers wait their turn, staff balance stills. Nothing feels out of place. Not even when a man walks in, looks around, and walks straight back out. Security notices nothing unusual. He looks like a customer changing his mind, nothing more. But he is not here to deposit or withdraw, at least not yet. His purpose is simpler, to take a head count. Moments later, he slips back to his waiting friends who are parked out of sight, away from prying eyes. For those inside the bank, the morning remains routine, ordinary in every respect. That is, until the man comes back. This time, everything is different. He does not come alone. He walks through the doors in a different getup, his face now hidden, and two masked companions move with him. One lifts what looks like a semi-automatic handgun and orders everyone to the floor. Customers and staff comply instantly, pressed flat against the tiles as the robbers take control. Cash fills the bags quickly. The take is close to $70,000. In minutes, they vanish into a rented moving van before anyone can react. But this is not their first strike. 8 days earlier, on 4 November, the same crew had robbed another Wells Fargo branch in Bala Cynwyd. That hit brought in more than $81,000. Enough to make headlines. Enough to make mistakes costly. So the Phoenixville robbery was just to take back what was owed to them. It was about taking back what had already slipped through their fingers. And behind both jobs, hidden in plain sight, was an insider, a bright 18-year-old honors student, Calia Kane, who even the FBI did not think to put on a suspect list. Calia Kane's life has never suggested crime. She is the kind of girl people point to as proof that everything is going right. She grows up in an affluent suburb, in a family that embodies the American dream. A house on a hill, a swimming pool in the back garden, the cool and fluffy dog, and dinners together at the table. They have everything except the white picket fence. Her father has a respected career with the FBI. Her mother holds down a job in auditing. And they are very active in the community. Kane is the honors student with options, bright, optimistic, and by all appearances on the way to any college of her choice. Her teachers see promise in her. Friends will have described her as grounded, not reckless. To outsiders, she lives in a bubble of security and possibility. Her life has structure, predictability, and even privilege. Nothing about the kind of girl who organizes study groups and earns glowing recommendation letters hints at what begins to unfold after high school. But Kane does not rush to escape her childhood. After high school, instead of moving directly into university, she takes a semester off. She wants to find a job. She wants a taste of independence and to figure out her next steps. It is the kind of decision most families support as a practical pause before the grind of higher education. When she lands a position at a Wells Fargo branch nearby, it feels ordinary, respectable, safe. Day after day, she settles into her new routine. Morning commutes, balancing cash drawers. She greets customers with practiced courtesy. It is work that requires trustworthiness and composure. And Kane is an employee you rely on without a second thought. But even in a life that looks perfectly mapped out, the unexpected intrudes. For Kane, it happens at a bus stop. She crosses paths with two young men, Malcolm and Mark. One is the friendly stranger who introduces her to the other. He introduces himself as a youth minister. It does not look like a turning point. It looks like nothing at all, forgettable in any other story. A few words exchanged on the pavement, a conversation that could have ended there. Yet from that moment, threads begin to pull. Choices wait just out of sight, and the girl with a perfect future is about to discover how quickly that future can change. She thinks she has just met a tall, dark, and handsome stranger. She thinks he is fun and alive. But she may be in for more excitement than she bargained for, and she won't think she has a choice. For Mark, fun and excitement come in the form of a bank robbery. On 4 November 2013, shortly before 11 o'clock a.m., The three masked gunmen slip out of a car parked just around the corner from the Bailiffs in Wells Fargo. They are Malcolm Moore, Marcus Wilson, and Stephen Foster. Wilson carries what looks like a semi-automatic handgun. Moore moves quickly to handle the bags. Foster stays close to the exit, ready to cover the getaway. Their sentry has signaled that the opportunity is right, that the blind spots are clear. They enter quickly, moving with purpose. Wilson raises his gun and commands the room. Everyone to the floor. Customers drop instantly. Staff press flat against counters and tiles. Panic ripples through the bank, but no one dares move too quickly. Calia Kane crouches under a desk, like her colleagues, and tries to maintain her composure. She is terrified. Her hands are shaking and her eyes are wide. But the plan moves forward without a hitch. The robbers move from counter to counter. Bags are opened. Cash is scooped into them, methodically, all from the tellers' desks. One teller hesitates, refusing to cooperate. Wilson leans over, laughs, and points his gun. "You don't want to die for the bank's money, do you?" The words hang in the air. Fear freezes the room. The staff comply, and the bags of cash grow heavier in the hands of the robbers. Minutes pass like hours. Every movement is measured, every second choreographed. The men are careful, precise, almost mechanical. When the last bag is full, they turn and leave as quickly as they arrived. Outside, the waiting vehicle hums quietly, ready for the planned getaway. The three jump in and vanish down the street, leaving behind no evidence. No shots were fired, so there are no bullet casings, no body fluids, no fingerprints. The take is about $81,000. The job is clean. No one is physically harmed. And yet, the presence of the insider, hidden in plain sight, ensures that the robbery goes off without a single mistake. The robbery starts and ends in less than 10 minutes, and that is the time it takes the local police force to reach the bank. There are no signs of the crime except the shaking hands of tellers who will remember the moment for the rest of their lives. Kane will remember that moment too, but for a very different reason. When Kane crosses paths with Marcus Wilson at a local bus stop, he introduces himself as a youth minister. Kane is intrigued. The young man is calm and confident and very alive. They exchange numbers. He asks her to call him. He says he wants to talk about scripture, but she soon realizes it is never really about that. It is casual at first, a few texts here and there. Their conversations stretch long into the evening. She listens to him, fascinated by the way he speaks about his dreams and his world. Wilson is different from anyone she has met before. He confides little things about himself. He shares his passion for rap music. He tells her he is already recording some of his songs. He allows her to listen to them. At the time, he is performing under the name Carp Dim. He plays her a song he has written and produced, and Kane is struck. There is rawness to the song, a spark that draws her in. Impulsively, caught up in the moment, she tells him, "I love you." It is early, fast, maybe reckless, but the words feel natural, inevitable. Days and nights pass in a blur of texts, calls, and small encounters. Their connection deepens in the next weeks. On the night of their first official date, the playful banter takes a sharp turn. As he drives her home, Wilson's questions shift from personal to curious, probing, unusual. Do banks really hold $1 million? He asks casually, as if testing the waters. Are there really die packs? How much is in each teller drawer? Kane answers those questions. She thinks it is just curiosity. But then he asks another, more shocking question. Can I rob your bank? She brushes it off. She is surprised, but she still thinks he is joking, trying to scare her in a teasing way. But he isn't. Over time, Wilson confides in Kane that he has serious money problems. Recording music under his stage name, Carp Dim, has cost him far more than he earns, but he does not want a regular job. He tells her the bank is a shortcut, a way to get money quickly. At first, Kane resists. She points out flaws in every one of his ideas. Every plan he proposes is full of gaps. It is like Swiss cheese. She can see how quickly people could get hurt. Gradually, she becomes involved. She puts her bright mind to work offering crucial information. She knows where to park to avoid cameras, when foot traffic is light, and the exact moment when it is safe to signal them. She is the perfect planner and accomplice. She soon whips up a plan that is precise, controlled, and as safe as it can be. If all things remain equal, Wilson brings in Malcolm Moore, and together they recruit Martrell Foster. He is not their first choice, though. They make do because their first choice for a lookout backs out. The plan begins to take form. Kane reveals the details of the bank intimately, from the teller's positions to the entrances, and the team relies on her knowledge. And she does that in an out-of-sight location. The day before the heist, Kane, Wilson, and Moore meet in a downtown hotel room. They go over every step, every movement. Kane explains the rhythm of the bank. How to enter, how to move from till to till, and how to leave without leaving evidence behind. On the day, Kane will be at her register like any other employee. Her signal will mark the start. The masked men will enter, carry out their task, and vanish into the waiting vehicle outside. Kane prepares herself. She will be treated no differently from the customers and staff. The gun will be pointed at her face. Every second matters. Police response is expected in under 10 minutes. The timing must be flawless. Her primary concern is safety. She plans the robbery for a lull in business, when no customers are present. "I didn't want anyone in the bank," she recalls, "because they didn't sign up for that." Every movement inside the bank is choreographed. Bags of cash, positions of the tellers, and the route to the getaway car are all calculated. The stakes are immense. One wrong move, one hesitation, could turn a controlled operation into chaos. For Kane, being the insider gives her a strange reassurance. She knows that the interior of the bank, in her hands, will remain orderly, predictable, and under control. She provides the team with a blueprint that guarantees success, but that remains to be seen. When the day arrives, everything proceeds with precision. The masked men move exactly as planned. Cash is collected swiftly. Every step has been rehearsed. The operation seems perfect. The Wells Fargo bank robbery is done. And then, just when it looks like a flawless execution, one reckless choice sets off a chain of events no one foresaw. The following morning, Wilson, Moore, and Foster drive south on Interstate 85 in North Carolina in a rental car. Officer Freeman pulls them over for a series of traffic violations. They have been speeding, tailgating, and failing to signal lane changes, almost hitting a vehicle in front of them. Wilson claims they are driving to Georgia for their uncle's funeral and admits they are carrying a large amount of cash. Moore and Foster's story is completely different. They say they are visiting a brother in Georgia. The officer immediately notices there is no luggage in the car, and the explanation does not match the facts. The trio explains that the plan is to buy clothes there because they have no luggage. They may have gone scot-free at that point, or maybe with only a written warning or a speeding ticket. They don't because there is something else that isn't matching up. Freeman observes that the vehicle is a rental. They say they rented, yet the rental agreement is in the name of someone not present in the car. And then another reason for suspicion comes alive. They say they are on the journey for only a week. That's not true. The agreement shows the vehicle was rented the day before for a full month. He begins to suspect they may be transporting drugs. Wilson's prior juvenile drug arrest adds to the officer's suspicion. He begins to think that there may be more to this than meets the eye. The entire conversation happens in front of Officer Freeman's patrol car. He has already called it in and checked the info, so he is sure that the men are up to something. Something is fishy. Then, to confirm if his suspicion of drug buying is correct, the officer asks them how much money they are carrying. Wilson hesitates before admitting they are carrying a lot more money than normal. He admits to having about $20,000. The hesitation reinforces the officer's concern that they may be involved in something illegal. The combination of inconsistent stories, the unusual rental arrangement, and the admitted cash raises more reasonable suspicion that something illicit is underway. The officer requests consent to search the car. Wilson grants permission. The hidden cash is discovered. It is $60,000 more than what Wilson says is there. The officer confiscates the money and hands it over to the appropriate department. He still thinks everything is drug-related. He has no reason to suspect that it is connected to the Wells Fargo bank robbery of November 4. But now there's evidence in the hands of the police, only they do not know it yet. 3 traffic infractions, and all the money is gone. What seemed like a clean getaway has already begun to unravel. The loss of the money from the Wells Fargo Balefkinwood heist is sad news for Wilson, Moore, and Foster. But it's not too bad. They just need to find a way to recover it. The government now owes them, but it is a bank that will pay. The first one went off without a hitch. The next one should. And that is what sets the stage for more reckless decisions and mistakes. It is the beginning of many more errors. 12 November 2013 is the day Wilson, Moore, and Foster prepare to execute their second bank job. Meanwhile, Kane is still at her Wells Fargo branch in Phoenixville. She has been working there for weeks, and she still loves it. She is excited about the trust placed in her, the suit she wears, and the sense of adult responsibility. It is exactly why she wanted this job. Still, she provides the team with information, guiding them on blind spots, low traffic periods, and when the signal will be safe. She does not enter the bank herself, but her planning is crucial. On the set day, Wilson enters the Phoenixville branch alone. Like any normal customer, he moves calmly, counts transactions at multiple teller stations, observes the layout, and notes security positions. He is not after the vaults or safes, only the cash in the teller's drawers. He does not think the bank will miss the money too much. After all, Wells Fargo is a multinational bank with assets worth $1.77 trillion and customers who are wealthy. On any given day, each teller station handles at least $85,000. Wilson's sole purpose is to take back what the bank owes them. The plan is to recover what slipped through their fingers after the first robbery. That's all. The plan is simple. After finishing his survey, Wilson returns to the waiting van. Security notices nothing unusual. Nothing is reported. Wilson, Moore, and Foster put on ski masks. Wilson takes his firearm. They enter the bank with a purpose. Customers hit the floor immediately, and staff press against counters and tiles. No one moves. Once again, the robbers collect cash from the teller drawers only. They move efficiently and deliberately. Kane's planning ensures that what happens inside is orderly and predictable, even though she is not present. The bags fill quickly. The total take is roughly $70,000. And that is huge, even though it is about $10,000 short of the first harvest. The FBI says that bank robbers at that time did not take more than a few $1,000s per robbery. Kane helps from a faraway sideline as the others execute the plan. No alarms are tripped, no shots are fired, no one is harmed. The previous day, 11 November, had been the heist day, but the branch was closed for Veterans Day. They had to return, forgetting a big public holiday. Returning the next morning. This shows that the gang is becoming more confident and more careless. They are confident the job will be as easy as the first. And it is, but the repetition is also a sign of growing recklessness. Once the cash is secured, the team leaves the bank and heads for the getaway vehicle. The escape seems clean, and everything looks like it went according to plan. It is also too clean for the FBI. That's how the links begin to show. And there's one loose end. They have their work cut out for them, the FBI, but they do not seem to make headway. By the time law enforcement goes to work gathering evidence, the gang, excluding Kane, is fleeing toward Georgia. The cash is secured in the vehicle. The escape appears flawless. And for now, everything is under control. Wilson, Moore, and Foster drive steadily along the highways, careful to stick to their planned route. They follow traffic laws this time. They are compliant enough to avoid drawing attention. They maintain just enough speed to stay ahead of any potential pursuit. Hours pass without incident. The rented car carries them across state lines. Checkpoints and patrols are avoided. The money remains safe, stacked in bags within the vehicle, and the crew keeps to themselves, exchanging only the occasional glance or brief instruction. Finally, they arrive in Georgia. The transition is seamless. No alarms, no stops, no surprises. The getaway seems complete. For the first time since leaving the Phoenixville branch, they allow themselves a moment of calm. The cash is intact, the vehicle is parked securely, and the heist feels like a clean operation. From the outside, it looks as if the crew will not be caught. The FBI has suspicions of a mole inside the bank, but there is no evidence. Nothing concrete ties anyone to the robberies. The investigators have only the videos, the reports, and their intuition that the operations were too smooth to be executed without inside assistance. But that is all, and none can lead to an arrest. They do their job. Interview the bank customers who were there during the raid. They interrogate the bank officials, just like they did at the Ballath-Sinwood branch. All the leads soon taper off, and there is no stone left to unturned. It should have become a cold case. It doesn't, thanks to a type-off. One of the men Wilson had attempted to recruit as a lookout. The same man who had declined before the first robbery steps forward. The man is Lester Howell. Howell reveals crucial details. The robbers did not act alone. He confirms what law enforcement suspects. Someone inside the bank has been providing information. Investigators immediately take notice. Every element of the robberies that seemed almost too smooth, from the timing and the unbroken security, to the knowledge of the lay of the banks, suddenly makes sense. They already know that the robbers know which entrances are least monitored and where the blind spots in surveillance cameras lie. Even details about teller movements and drawer activity appear in these communications. Now, all is falling into place. There is hope because of Howell. The FBI traces Wilson's phone records. Each call, each text message is scrutinized. Howell also gives the police a cell phone number of one of the robbers. The police trace that number to Wilson and pull his cell site location data. What they find puts him at the scene of the Ballath-Sinwood branch right before the first robbery. The data also showed 5 calls and 17 text messages to and from a bank employee that same day. That's not all. Howell identifies Wilson and Moore from a video of the robbery. Wilson and Moore are not the only ones in trouble. Why? Every piece of evidence leads back to Kane. The tip-off not only confirms suspicions of an insider, it provides a direct link between the crew and Kane. Kane indeed does nothing during the actual robbery. She does not go with them for the second robbery. She has never entered the Phoenixville bank herself, but the FBI can see that her role is pivotal. She has guided the crew, offering information about security, optimal timing, and cashier routines, all while maintaining her day-to-day life at the Ballath-Sinwood branch. Investigators realize that without her, the heists might have failed or been messy. Each call and text is examined, revealing an operational blueprint for the robberies. It is meticulous work, connecting instructions from Kane to actions taken by Wilson, Moore, and Foster during the heists. Meanwhile, the crew remains oblivious. They continue their days as usual, spending the stolen cash, driving the rented vehicle, and enjoying the freedom of seeming normalcy. Kane does not even have to fear that the police or FBI will find some portion of the money with her. She has given hers as an investment in Wilson's music. Everything is about to go down the drain. The FBI is moving closer with every piece of digital evidence, but the robbers are blissfully unaware. The calm exterior masks the storm brewing behind the scenes. It is about to blow up in their faces, and it gets a whole lot worse. Investigators begin to notice striking similarities between the two robberies. The tactics, the timing, the way the masked men move inside the bank, all of it points to a single group. The FBI pieces together the evidence. They confirm that the Phoenixville and Ballath-Sinwood jobs are connected. Meanwhile, the three men believe they are safe, hiding out in Georgia. They think they have eluded the reach of the law, but they are not as safe as they think. The authorities find them. They are arrested, along with Calia Kane, and the charges mount. Instead of facing the single robbery charge, all of them are now implicated in two separate heists. In court, the dynamics of responsibility become clear. Kane and Foster admit their involvement immediately. Taking plea deals, they face their sentences. Wilson and Moore, on the other hand, continue to insist on their innocence. They refuse to acknowledge their part in the crimes, leaving Kane and Foster to bear the initial burden. Eventually, Wilson cracks. He admits participation in the robberies, though he claims the gun he brandished was not real. The court, however, has evidence that proves otherwise. The firearm was authentic, capable of lethal force, and this fact cannot be ignored. It influences his sentence. Moore, even in the wake of Wilson's confession, insists that he has nothing to do with the robberies. He denies knowledge of the events. He acts as though Wilson is fabricating his account. The trial moves forward. The court delivers its verdict. The defendants are convicted. Everyone is guilty. When the court delivers its verdicts, the sentences reflect the severity of the crimes. Marcus Wilson receives 519 months, more than 43 years behind bars. Malcolm Moore is sentenced to 32 years. Martrell Foster receives 84 months, 7 years. Calia Kane, the one who does the insider job, is handed 70 months, just under 6 years. Years later, Kane speaks publicly about her role in the robberies. She acknowledges her naivety, a trait her sister agrees may be her biggest problem. Jessica Kane, who is 7 years older than Kane, says, "I think a lot of times, her being naive allows her to get taken advantage of because people see that, and they prey upon that." She points to love as a central factor. It was not just infatuation. She has been seeking connection, attention, and affection at a vulnerable time. Just before meeting Wilson, she had left her stepfather, carrying with her a sense of uncertainty and a desire for guidance. It is in Wilson that she finds a presence that seems exciting, alive, and worth trusting. When she reflects on her choices, Kane does not shy away from responsibility. Yet she frames it with a human truth. The decisions we make are often a product of our youth and the emotions we carry. Her involvement is not born of greed at all. It is influenced by longing, youthful optimism, and a misplaced trust in someone she believed loved. Her story does not end in the courtroom, nor with the sentences handed down. Her story ends at the edge of consequences, where the choices we make collide with the reality we cannot control. It is a reminder that our emotions are fragile, that ambition is fragile, and that naivety holds no weight in the court of law. Calia Kane once believed she had a future with Wilson. She thought love would protect her, guide her, give meaning to her choices, but Wilson's care was never for her. It was for the plan, for the heist, for the money. Her trust, her hopes, and her loyalty were all misdirected. Every action has consequences, some immediate, some unforeseen. A chance encounter at a bus stop, a seemingly casual conversation, a single moment of decision. These can redirect the course of a life in ways we cannot predict. What begins with hope and affection can end in a courtroom, in regret, and in lessons learned far too late. But she learns it, even though she has to spend almost 7 years in prison. This is the story of the perfect inside woman for not one but two robbery heists.